Jessica S. Campbell, LCSW, and I'm a psychotherapist in private practice in Palm Beach County, Florida. I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk to people out there who have questions about sexual assault, rape, or molestation, and how to interact around those topics. I want to start out by reading a short quote, which is from Thomas Mann and the Magic Mountain. Speech is civilization itself. The word preserves contact. It is silence which isolates. And that's something I really, really believe to be true. I think one of the most damaging things that occurs as part of a secondary trauma to rape, sexual assault, molestation is the silence and isolation that surrounds it. That happens for multiple reasons. One is because we are still a culture that looks to blame the victim. We still, look at women who were raped and say, well, what were you wearing? Why were you in that neighborhood at that time of night by yourself? Why were you at that frat party drinking? Don't you know what happens to girls like that? In fact, really within the last day or so, there was an article from the police department that went up in Wisconsin that had something in its title about dropping the persona of victimhood. And that statement just says so many wrong things and sends so many wrong messages. When we use the word persona, it gives us this idea of somebody who has created this presentation of victimhood. And that means that that person wanted to be a victim. They crafted that appearance. And essentially it states that they asked to be raped, which is just beyond the pale ridiculous, insulting, damaging, and a big part of why rape and sexual assault is so underreported in this country. The reason why I think our culture still does this victim blaming is because it's part of a self-defense mechanism that we all kind of inherently have. If we see somebody who was sexually assaulted, raped, or molested, and they look like us, they have our same background, they talk like us, we look for something that makes us different. Because if they're too much like us, that means that we too run the risk of being victimized. And we don't want to accept that, so we look for what's different. Oh, you were raped because you were in a situation that I would never put myself in. Therefore, I'm not at risk for also being raped. You were molested because, you were placed in a school setting or in a parochial setting, or, had the type of family where, alcoholism prevailed. And, my family's not like that, so nobody in my family has that kind of risk. And pushing that kind of blame onto others keeps us safe, in a manner of speaking. Although, the reality is that sexual assault, rape, molestation, those are the types of crimes that don't happen to just one population. They happen at every level of education, every level of socioeconomic status, every race, every nationality, every creed, everything across this globe. It unfortunately is a very, very prevalent crime. The next area of isolation that I want to address is how difficult it is not just for the survivor to come out and identify themselves as such, seek help, seek counseling, tell their families. There's also the isolation that comes from, again, our culture at large, which, when I've counseled people who are survivors of sexual crimes, they state I tried to tell my friend, but, they changed the subject. Or, I tried to tell a teacher or, another counselor, another professional or somebody that I trusted, and, they tried to make excuses, or suggest that, what I thought happened wasn't what really happened. And there could be many reasons for that. Again, it could be that trying to create distance between themselves and the actual crime that occurred, and the trauma that then precedes it. The other thing, though, is I think a lot of people tend to shy away from this type of topic because they worry about doing more damage by saying the wrong thing or approaching the topic in a way that comes across as insensitive to the other person's feelings. And that's what I wanted to spend the last few moments of this video talking about. The reality is that if you know someone who has been raped, sexually assaulted, or molested, there really is very little you could say, if anything at all, that would make that reality worse for them. It's already about as bad as it can get. Any kind of support you can offer, on the other hand, is going to mean so much to those individuals. The way that you can do that, especially if you're worried about, saying the wrong thing or bringing that trauma back up, is, when your friend or family member reveals something like that to you, go slowly. Let them lead the conversation. I would, right from the very beginning, say, please, 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 if I say anything that is in any way upsetting to you, let me know. We'll stop whenever you need to, but I'm always going to be here to listen, and I'm always going to be here to help in any way that I can. That's honestly what I say to many of my clients who come to me with these kinds of stories. I just let them know that I'm here to listen. I'm here to hear their story, to hold them in this safe space, this therapeutic space. Let them process all of the emotion that's attached to this trauma in their lives, and then hopefully help them move past it, find ways to allow it to just be this thing that happened and not this shadow that looms over the rest of their life. And really I think that one of the difficulties in therapy when you're in recovery and surviving this type of experience is, it's having a timeline, a personal timeline that becomes very broken by this event. And there is the person that you were beforehand, and then the person that you are now. And sometimes those people have very, very little in common other than your memory. I think that having space to share that memory and have it make sense in a way that, perhaps it can't when, you're just kind of reliving it as a trauma and not as a narrative, can also be part of the damage and part of the risk that we run when we start to maybe slip towards depression, anxiety, difficulty in our relationships. So again, I want to close by saying, if you have experienced any kind of sexual assault or trauma, that just please seek help. Seek someone to talk to, whether it's a friend, a family member, a professional like myself, or a spiritual leader. Just have a place to get it out, okay? If you have any questions about this topic, I do hope that you'll feel free to contact me at www.jessicascampbell.com. Thanks very much.